All right, Vic. It's been a spring workout, spring drills. It was a big adjustment from what you all had been doing. Let's talk about the additions and the changes and all that you all went through to prepare for fall camp.
Well, I tell you what, when we finished up last season uh, in December, and the guys got away from campus, the challenge for our guys was to make sure that when they came back from the spring semester, that there was not going to be a regret, that there was not going to be anything where they would ever go back and second guess that if I'd have done this or I'd done that, that our program would not advance because we let the season feel like we were close to being a very competitive football team, but we didn't get the job done last year. And since January coming back, the one thing that's just impressed us is that this team has not been one step out of place. It has been truly committed, and ever since, be it the weight room, the attitude, the work ethic, the way they've held themselves off the field, the leadership that's really drive now from our players and how it's driving, what expectations are in our program. Um, this is the most exciting time that I have felt about a football team here at HBU, and I think that we're getting ready to surprise the league. I think last year we made some steps and made a lot of improvement offensively. Struggled with the young defense. And that's been one of our challenges. We've not gotten to the point where we've been mature enough on both sides of the ball at the same time to see our program really show some of the potential that I think it has there. Because I do think that we have some good players. We need more good players. I think recruiting is starting to impact that. But this is this is an exciting day to be able to sit there and to be able to share with a lot of folks what I believe is really going to be a team that many are going to look back at HBU and say, that was a year that much of what was hoped for got experienced in terms of success on the field.
The one thing that happened also, the league changed. Not so much the landscape, a lot of coaching changes, but also the talent got better overall. Lamar now has a foothold in the Golden Triangle. You all have a foothold here in the Houston area. You're getting your fair share. And the league overall is starting to change as far as there's not a dominant program that will go past 2 years and continue to dominate. Now it's whoever shows up on Saturday. If you're not ready to play, or you are ready to play, you can make that run.
This is without question, you're going to be the most competitive from top to bottom year that I think this conference has seen in a long time. Last year was kind of the evidence of that because of seeing at least with Lamar and Incarnate Word make a run. Uh, but I don't know that Lamar and Incarnate Word got necessarily significantly better athletically. I just think that their teams came together and something happened that gave them the consistency to be able to win ball games, close ball games week in and week out. Other really, really talented, accomplished teams in our league weren't less talented. Maybe they just weren't quite as consistent. So I think this is all of a sudden becoming looked at as a year that the most consistent football teams will rise to the top. Because I think the athletic talent is not significantly as different as what it was 3 or 4 years ago. I think everyone would agree that Central Arkansas and Sam Houston State and McNeese State, up until about 2 years ago, athletically were just head and shoulders above everyone else. That they had to kind of mess it up. But I don't think that's the case now. It doesn't mean that they're not still talented and capable of being a dominant team. It's just that everybody else, I think, has gained confidence and that the league is tightening up. And it would not surprise me that when we look back, in late November, that our conference champion may very well have more than one loss.
Wow, that's saying a lot for this conference because that hadn't been the norm. Uh, you could basically say you can get by with one loss, either early or late, and still win the conference championship. Talk about the growth of this conference, just from not when you first got here, but up to that point. As an outsider coming in, and then now looking at the strides and all that HBU has made and contributing to strengthening just putting forth their strength and their foothold into Southland.
You know, um, I was a defense coordinator in the Big 12 conference before coming to HBU, and you got used to seeing a high-end player, at the Power 5 level. And my last year there at Kansas, we played McNeese State, and although we won fairly comfortable, I was really impressed with the athletes that McNeese State have, thinking that maybe they didn't have as many dominant, but wow, that's a pretty scary football team. And a year later, I would be at HBU. Of course, we didn't play that first year, but now I had a chance to not only look at McNeese State, but I had a chance to really take note of just how athletic this league is. And now looking at 6 years later, and having played everybody multiple times, you really realize that this league is driven by really good players, and it's driven by coaching staffs that do a thorough job of preparing the kids to play each week. And the kids play incredibly hard in this league. This is not a league where you see players that don't play with passion. It is a passionate league. And so coming in and being able to see the league now, we can year in year out, and just seeing how the league recruits within the state of Texas and Louisiana, and seeing the effectiveness by which you're seeing players develop and grow. Uh, it's the curse of that is that everybody beats everybody up during the season. I think that's happened in some recent years, where really good teams may not look quite as invincible just because they've had to go through the blender of our league. And I think here again, as much respect as I have for the league and the coaching and the players, I know that this year our best teams are going to have to. They're going to be ready for the playoffs, because it's going to be a tough road that they have to go through the league.
HBU has had, you mentioned earlier about not so much being a balanced squad on both sides, but you've had some years where you've had depth at the offensive line position, and that's when you all have pretty much like, okay, don't just look at us as the little sisters of the poor and as bottom dwellers. We're ready to make our move now. How much has the transfer rule helped you all with just strengthening your depth? Not so much recruiting, but just as an immediate need, an offensive line for everybody across the country. That seems to be where it's at right now, because high school offensive linemen stepping into the college level on any level in college football, that was a struggle that first year.
Absolutely, and we started our program, uh, you know, for a school like HBU, high academic school, faith-based institution, where the character and conduct of your players are important on campus. Uh, we needed to do a good job of making sure that we really knew players that we're bringing in, because that'd be the first impression that HBU students and faculty and staff would evaluate who HBU's football players look like, how they handle themselves. Do they show respect towards the academic pursuit on campus? Uh, will they be civil gentlemen away from a very violent sport? And so with a high school kid, you have a natural ability to spend more time getting to know the recruiting process is typically longer, and those players are typically much more able to be influenced in the early days in college, and so you can kind of shape and mold on what expectations look like for a Division I college football player on a college campus. Plus, we were building for the future, so we went the high school route. We had a couple of transfers in from University of Houston that came in and did a nice job and gave us some leadership, and a few more. But by and large, we really took out, stock in the high school recruit. In 2016, we brought in a fair number of defensive players. Felt like that after 2014, 2015, our first 2 years in the league, that defensively we were struggling with being tough enough to be strong enough, particularly interior. So we went out and recruited. In that particular year, 2016, is when we made really the jump. And we're a good defensive football team in 2016. We're a really good defensive football team in 2017. Those guys graduated. We got pretty good through some transfers in 2018 on offense. And so what's happened is our two sides of the ball, offense and defense, have not necessarily worked together to improve so that there's not problem areas across the board. Well, this is the first year where we feel like we've been able to not only grow our athletes, but also the the the, uh, the investment into the transfer athlete, bringing in 3 junior college offensive linemen this year. We feel like really helped us. Bringing in 3 junior college defensive backs have really helped us. And we feel like that it is kind of short of a few areas of softness for us. That this is the best we've been as far as both sides of the ball, moving towards a level of being highly competitive. And kind of a long answer, but it is that balance between bringing young freshmen in, but interjecting a transfer into a certain, bring them in almost like a free agent NFL. You bring them in for a certain purpose, and you do your homework well, and that guy can come in and really make a quick impact, not only in your football team but in your league.
The other thing is, when you make improvements like that, you challenge the guys by strengthening the schedule. You all head out to UTEP early in the season, road game. Guys got to make an adjustment of, okay, you've always talked about this is where you want to be, this is what you want to play against. Well, now that day is coming on. Are the guys excited about taking off on that first road trip?
Yeah, obviously we got to do a good job of winning practice number one. To where we leave that day better than what we were when we got on that field. And that happens through about 26, 27 practice opportunities before we get to UTEP. 2016 we played UTEP next to last ball game. They finished up the year I think 5-6 or 6-5. They're right around that area. They were a good football team, and it was a very competitive game in the up until about the 13th minute in the fourth quarter. It was a very tough ball game. Our kids will go back, and as we begin to talk about the improvement that we've made, our guys will go in that ball game. I am confident that they will go in that ball game confident. And this business, we don't work hard. You don't work hard as a sports reporter to be second to anybody. Every day we wake up, we plan to win that day. And so my plan is to go 12-0 this year. But before we do that, we've got a lot of work that needs to go in to August fall camp. But I'm excited about this year. Really excited about this football team, and I know that we're very capable of being a very loud voice in terms of how this conference plays out come November.
Is there anything else that I hadn't asked, looking forward to fall drills, that you can think of offhand, that folks don't know about what's going on at HBU?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that, uh, and rightfully so, we look at the scoreboard, and in many ways that defines where a program is. It's a little bit tough because historically, there's not, you don't have very many Division I football programs that just start up playing football. I mean, it's a real novelty, and so to sit there and now be coaching in one, particularly in a very tough athletic league, it is not a matter of just flipping the switch and winning immediately and then sustaining some of that success. I do think that in some form or another, uh, you see the number of athletes. We've had 13 players in the last 2 years be on the all-conference teams. We have 3 players this year that are on preseason all-conference. We had 39 players this past year that are on the Southland Conference Commissioner's Honor Roll. We've had 11 players in the last 5 years to be identified by the National Football Foundation, Hampshire Honor Society for their academic achievement. We've APR, the academic performance rate that now the NCAA uses to evaluate basically the academic health of a Division I athletic sport. In the last 4 years, our historical APR is the highest of any team in the Southland Conference. 2 years ago, we batted a perfect 1,000 on our APR on a year in which we had mass players graduating, which means that not only are you doing a good job of your athletes getting to a point where they are senior, but that they're graduating, because that's a point when their eligibility is finished, that they have completed their academic degree. And so there's a lot of areas where we're achieving in our program, and we're developing athletes. I think one of the biggest things is, you got to have exceptional players in this league in order to win. We have an exceptional quarterback in Bailey Zappi this year. We think he is a game changer, and we feel like we have more legitimate game changers within our football team than we've ever had. We've had good players. We haven't had enough good players, and so it's a byproduct of a young program. But now we're getting to a point where we're starting to feel like we have enough good players. And so I think the patience that the Houston community has looked at HBU, feeling like, when's that program going to line up and compete and make a difference in the Southland? I'm really optimistic that this is going to be a year that's going to look back here again where people can say, boy, the pieces of the puzzle sure look like they're coming together.
And that's true. This state, Texas is what it is. Two programs started from day one. You all in San Antonio, and people keep asking like they started at Division One. What was the athletic director and the president thinking about? Because
Yeah.
it drives the engine, but that engine can fuel costs can mount up.
Yeah. This is an expensive sport for a play.
Is it
So
because of the
for
numbers of the amount of kids, the
yeah,
amount of
kids scholarships. I mean, you're talking 63 scholarships at $45,000 each. That's about a $2.8 million scholarship budget. Well, that's a real dollar, and so it is an investment by an institution, not counting on just buying helmets, buying shoulder pads, buying shoes, buying uniforms. You can imagine the money that we can spend in recruiting. We're all over the place, from California to Louisiana, Oklahoma, Texas, recruiting kids. And so there's a lot that goes into it. It's a commitment by an administration to make that happen. We were in a unique situation where many schools that have started football maybe had started as a lower division school, built some tradition, built some. It gave them a little bit of time to mature their roster out. And you allude to it, us and UTSA, and look at UTSA. They've had some real bright spots, but they have some really tough spots too. And it's that consistency. Just when you kind of think you got it, injuries occur, and it puts you back as a young football team again. To where you feel like you're constantly, building. And uh, and and as a coach, as a head coach, you got to be patient. But I can tell you that you never take your eye off where you want to go, and you're looking for indicators to share, to kind of show you you're getting close. And it's not my first rodeo. I know we're getting close in some areas, and so um, this is a tough league. We didn't have a choice. In order for us to become members of the Southland Conference, which was a great. I hope that we have been a positive for the Southland Conference as a whole, the
apparently
athletic
so.
department. But you know, we didn't have a choice. Either you come into the Southland Conference now in all sports, or the invitation is not there. But that set the parameters for us, and so every day we have to wake up as an athletic department and ask the question, how are we going to get better in all sports? And certainly, my responsibility is to make sure that football, is leading the way.
Well, Vic, it's been, as always, it's been good talking to you. HBU is still moving in the right direction. They're still playing football.
That's right.
People are, like I said, there was some folks that was questioning, like, what are they doing? What are they doing? They've never had a program. They don't have space. Now you got your own stadium. You own the corner now. Things are moving in the right direction. And folks never would have believed you all would have got a football stadium on campus.
Yeah,
Literally.
it's not finished yet. It's still a work in progress. We got one side up, but the other side is coming, but we're excited. And tell you what, look out at Southland Conference. Dogs up.
All right, Coach. This is Jerry Woolley Jr. here in Houston, Texas. My last go round for the week for summer football kickoff, Southland. And I've been talking to HBU head football coach, Vic Shealy. I'm out.